Hello, I'm Nikki.
And I'm Jess.
She's the traumatized.
And she's the abandoned.
And welcome to our podcast, where we talk about true crime, spooky things, and everything in between.
And today we are talking about some true crime.
Guess who's sick? Sick again.
I feel like literally no one is surprised. No one. Not even a little surprised.
We try.
I feel like when we first started the podcast, it was me who was always sick, and now we've just passed the baton. Because now you have a child that's in grade school, and
yeah, it's lovely.
How was your week?
It was good. I didn't really do much yesterday. The hubby started throwing shit out. He made 3 trips to the dump yesterday.
Wow.
It's time to start packing.
Oh, gotta love that time.
I've packed 1 box. I packed my books away.
That's great.
But yeah, so
moving's fun.
Yeah, packing is definitely being started.
It's always fun.
Yeah, how was your week?
My week was okay, but yeah, so my week it's really weird because like I'm on a weird work schedule, so I'm like I don't know what day it is. I'm very confused.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, I think I'm just like struggling. I do think it's seasonal depression, and it was 70 to 80 degrees last week. It was a beautiful, oh my gosh, everything was blossoming, and now it's down to like the 40s and 50s this week.
It's gross. Yeah.
I thrive in the sun. Like I need summer ASAP.
I'm like the opposite.
I know.
I thrive in moonlight.
Yeah, no,
in the nighttime.
Yup. But other than that, I got my nails did finally. But yeah, that's really it. Just working weird schedule and got my nails done. That was my week. So, are you ready for the fun fact of the day?
Fun fact of the day.
Fun fact of the day. Did you know that ants don't have lungs?
Ants don't have lungs.
Don't have lungs.
Okay.
Depending on the type of ant, it's either 9 or 10 tiny little openings, and they're called spiracles. And that's how they breathe. They don't actually have lungs.
Weird.
Right? All right. I am so excited to hear about your true crime story because we've been talking about it, and
me too.
Okay, go for it.
So this is another one of the cases that I remember happening as it was happening.
I love these because I was very sheltered and I don't remember anything. So like y'all might know, but I don't know. So watch me go through it.
I'm going to be talking about Britney Drexel today.
Ooh, okay.
Ready for the intro? Spring break.
Okay.
Which is currently what my son is right now.
Aw.
Usually a weeks-long vacation in early spring for universities and schools. This is when students travel to warmer climate areas and celebrate with wild partying, so much so that Florida is now like banning people.
Crazy.
Did you hear about that?
I did hear about that.
That was crazy. Some of these places include Miami, Las Vegas, which I was like, Las Vegas, I never would have like. Well, I guess
that. If you live over in that area, that's probably where.
Yeah, that's true.
But is it 18 to gamble?
Oh, I don't know. 18 to gamble, yeah. I mean, back home in casinos, it's 18, yeah.
So I guess maybe you could go gambling, but you can't fucking drink. So what would be the fun of going to Vegas? Weird. Okay. That's just, yeah, weird. I would not want to go to Vegas. I mean, I guess there's other things in Vegas. But like
stuff. I don't know. I've never been to Vegas.
It's just not a place. Like, I feel like I'd like to go there once, maybe.
I think Vegas is like a one-time thing, yeah.
But never again. Yeah, like I couldn't see myself going back there. I feel like
you would spend so much money.
That's what I'm saying. I ain't got money to spend like that. I mean, if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I want to go like on a cruise and see multiple destinations. You know what I mean?
Right? But yeah, anyway, Vegas, New Orleans, and more, including Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, which is where our story takes place.
It's in Myrtle Beach. I've gone there so many
Myrtle
times as a kid.
Beach.
That's crazy.
I've
We used
never
to
been
vacation.
there.
We used to vacation every year at Myrtle Beach when I was a kid because Virginia Beach sucked at the time. It was very.
Virginia Beach still sucks.
They're making it better, apparently. I don't know. I haven't been there, but
when I
apparently
was
it's-
there.
But yeah, no, Myrtle Beach. Oh my God, I have so many good stories about Myrtle Beach.
So I recently watched a 2020 episode,
Okay.
shout out, on this story and realized, like I said, I remember this case and the craziness that it was when it was developing because it was not solved right away. I will say that.
Ooh,
I
Okay.
will say that.
Okay.
And I was shocked to find out not only did the truth come out, but it took 13 years
Wow.
for that truth to come to light and for justice to be delivered.
Crazy. Okay.
Crazy. So, the beginning. Britney Drexel was born October 7th, 1991 in Rochester, New York to John, so sorry if I say this wrong, Kayagalu, and her mother, Dawn. I couldn't find Dawn's maiden name, so sorry about that. But Dawn and John unfortunately split when Britney was 2. Then Dawn met and married Chad Drexel, who adopted Britney at the time. After Chad's military service, the family lived in the Rochester suburb of Chile, New York. Britney was described as a doting big sister, a protector to her 2 younger siblings, a very happy, carefree, awesome kid. She was popular in school and everybody just loved her. She had a warm personality that everyone just gravitated towards.
Aww.
At 16 years old, Britney's biological father came back into her life and he described it as life coming back into him. So,
Okay.
unfortunately, though, Britney's stepfather and mother were going through a separation, and that was hard on Britney at the time.
Yikes.
She started hanging out with an older crowd. She also had a boyfriend, John Greco. They had been dating on and off for 1 or 2 years. In 2009, Britney was 17 years old, a junior in high school, and like everyone her age, wanted to go on vacation for spring break.
Yo, she is literally my age. I was
At the
17 in
time.
2009, and we did go on spring break. I think we went to Daytona Beach though instead of Myrtle. That is fucking wild though.
I never experienced that anyways.
Because you lived in North Dakota. There are no beaches in North Dakota, and I know that because I looked at a map like 2 weeks ago.
We have lakes, but also like no money to go just
Fair.
or friends. No money, no friends. It's
Oh
fine.
my god.
I'm fine.
Oh my god. I'll be your friend. We'll go on a vacation. It'll be great.
We'll go on spring break at 30 years old.
Oh my god, we could have an adult spring break. We could go to like a Maryland beach. It's like gonna be halfway between us. Over in a house. It'll be great. It'll be great.
Oh my goodness. All right. Yeah. So she wanted to go on vacation for spring break. From the sounds of it, she wanted to get kind of away from everything, you know, her family wise, school wise, and just go to the beach. She had asked her mother if she could go to South Carolina for spring break, but unfortunately her grades weren't very good. So her mother said no.
Okay.
Her mother also cited the fact that she didn't know the people that she was going to be
Yep.
traveling with because it was an older crowd that had invited her, this older crowd that she's been hanging out with. Also, her mother said that there was no parental supervision on the trip. So,
Now,
definite no.
they're in New York still?
Yes, Rochester.
That's a fucking trek down to Myrtle Beach because it's like 6 hours from
Mhm.
me and I'm in Virginia. So I could understand that.
Yeah, too far away.
That and when I went to spring break, my senior year, it was called our senior week. It was like a trip. It was basically spring break, but it was actually after we graduated. But my parents, the only way they would let me go is they actually came down to the same beach and they had their pop-up camper. And so they were like, I think they were like 10 miles away, but they were in the same location. That was the only way they would let me go is they wanted to be at least within like range if I needed them.
Right.
That
Makes sense.
I didn't like it, but
Obviously, but
it did not stop me from making bad decisions. So,
oh boy. Anywho, so obviously this led to a couple disagreements between the mother and daughter, which led Britney to ask if she could just go stay at a friend's house for a day or two to calm down, which her mother agreed to.
okay.
But what her mother didn't know is that instead of going to a friend's house, Britney indeed took off on that trip to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, with that group of friends. Britney and her group arrived at the Bar Harbor Hotel in Myrtle Beach.
Mm-hmm.
They were there for a couple days, no issues. On April 25th, Britney spoke with her mother on the phone, stating that they were at the beach. Her mother, however, thought that this meant at a beach nearby on Lake Ontario.
Right.
Because, like she said, she told her mom she's at a friend's house nearby, and that's what they called the beach that they went to up there. They just called it the beach, like we're gonna go to the beach or whatever. And it was a relatively warm day for April, like it was an oddly warm day, so she's like, oh, that makes sense, you guys wanted to go to the beach because it's kind of warmer out today.
Okay.
At the end of the phone call, Britney said, okay, Mom, I'll see you tomorrow, I love you. At this point, Britney had been in Myrtle Beach for 3 days. She actually wasn't getting along too well with the groups that she had traveled with. Friends kind of described it as like a fifth wheel sort of situation
That's
going
unfortunate.
on. So because of this, Britney had connected and met up with other friends also from Rochester. She had found out like other people were there.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm gonna go hang out with these guys. And on April 25th, around 8 p.m., that is who she went to go see. She walked the 1.5 miles south down South Ocean Boulevard to the Blue Water Resort.
Mm-hmm.
The security cameras at the resort show her arriving. She arrives at the resort. Then not long after, one of the girls from the first group messaged Britney about some black shorts, which you can see her wearing, that Britney had borrowed and was in fact wearing. It was said to be somewhat of an argument, so Britney just decided to head back so she could return the shorts. And the cameras captured her leaving around 8:45 p.m. Britney was texting her boyfriend, who had stayed home due to work commitments. They had been texting back and forth, early 2009, cell phones, teenagers, constantly in their phones.
This is so like surreal, literally. I had the brick, the orange brick that would like flip open. You'd have the full keyboard.
So she had been texting with her boyfriend back and forth. Around 9:15 p.m., her text suddenly stopped. He couldn't get an answer from her. So John became worried and began calling her friends, calling the people she was with. Like, hey, you talked to Britney, whatever. All the while still texting Britney, trying to get a response. Even threatening to tell her mother, like, if you do not tell me right now that you're okay, I'm going to call your mother and tell her where you're at. Like, answer me. And nothing. So that is exactly what he did. He called Dawn in a panic and told her the truth that Britney was in Myrtle Beach and that he could no longer get a hold of her. Dawn called Chad and then called the Rochester police, hoping that they could establish communications with their counterparts in South Carolina.
Okay.
Repeated calls and texts to Drexel's phone went unanswered. So now everybody's trying to get a hold of her.
Oh, jeez.
She simply had vanished. So right away, police began looking the following morning. They located the security camera footage from the Blue Water Resort and found the friends that she had visited. Police searched Drexel's hotel room, finding all of the clothes that she had packed, but not her purse or cell phone. Obviously, the family started driving down right away, too. The first week was spent handing out flyers and going door to door. The phone's network pings were tracked on a path leading 50 to 60 miles south of Myrtle Beach.
That's not good.
In an area along US Route 17 near the Georgetown/Charleston County line. They knew from the speed that she was somehow in a vehicle and that it was an area that she would not have known of, a rural, remote, swampy area.
That's really not good.
The Santee River, which is in that area, was searched. Authorities put everything into the search, like literally dogs out there, investigators, divers. In May 2009, a massive search continued at the boat landing where Drexel's phone last pinged, involving around 50 investigators and canines. And then we go to August 2009, digital billboards were set up and like popping up everywhere. Now it's kind of hard because a lot of newer information came out, so a lot of older information was kind of hard to find. So the next thing I have is in June 2010, a year later. Drexel's family is awarded an honorary diploma from Gates High School in New York at her high school class's graduation. So they got her diploma. And then my next input is in April 2012.
Okay.
A memorial tree is planted at the Market Common in honor of Drexel. Age-progressed photos are released later that year to make the public aware of how she may have looked at age 21. All the while, there is no sign of Britney.
I was gonna say they've had no tips or anything. Like,
we'll get to some stuff.
Okay.
We're gonna go over suspects.
Okay.
And then kind of get into the recent stuff.
Okay.
So timeline wise, obviously the police looked into the friends that Britney had been visiting, which apparently was like a bunch of guys. I didn't know that. They looked into them and they ruled them out. Although the one guy that she was visiting kind of checked out the next morning, which was kind of sus, but obviously nothing. Yeah. They had nothing to do with it. The next person they checked out, an officer coming through the local sex offender registry, came across the name Raymond Moody. It seemed he was close to the location Britney's phone last pinged.
Okay.
He was convicted of 7 sexual assaults in California and was given a 40-year sentence.
Oh, we hate that.
However, Ray was released in 2004 after serving only half of his sentence.
Why?
He and his partner, whom he met in prison, so he was dating a man, moved back to South Carolina, and his parole ended in 2007. That's when his partner kind of said things started changing with him, like personality wise.
Okay.
Ray was on the police radar, obviously. But there was nothing really to link him to the case. He was living in a motel after him and his partner split that was like close to the area, but the police interviewed Ray's girlfriend, Angel. He began an affair with a woman while dating his partner.
Okay.
And then once the partner and him split, Angel became his like permanent girlfriend.
Okay.
Though she seemed to be scared of Ray and stated that he had shared with her some violent thoughts, she did not implicate Ray in Britney's disappearance. And though the police used this interview to get a search warrant, they tore Ray's motel room apart but found absolutely nothing.
Okay.
And this ended up being a dead end. So then we jumped to 2016.
Jesus. Okay. That was what, 4 years later?
That was right away. Right away in 2009, 2010, they were looking into Ray.
Gotcha. Okay, sorry.
So then 7 years later, June 2016, out of the fucking blue, and I remember this, the FBI held a news conference during which they stated that they believed Britney was dead and that it had happened shortly after she disappeared.
How? Why? What?
Yeah. The family was briefed by the FBI before the announcement and were there to make a statement. After 7 long years of waiting and praying for the return of my daughter, we know she is not coming home alive, Dawn Drexel said through tears. Britney's life was stolen from her in a brutal and senseless fashion. However, the FBI refused to reveal how they knew she was dead.
Right.
But said the evidence was exhaustive.
If it was so exhaustive, why would you refuse to give it? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
2 months later, the public finds out what they had told the family and what they believed happened. They told Dawn that her daughter had been kidnapped, gang raped, beaten, and then shot, and then was fed to the alligators.
How did they have any evidence of this? What do you mean?
So,
where's the evidence? You can't just tell somebody's family that and not have evidence. What do you mean?
Right? So this information came from an inmate serving a 20-year sentence. His name was Taquan Brown. He claims that he was present at the murder at a stash house. You know what a stash house is, right?
I could put context clues together. But like, yeah.
A drug house. You go in, get the drugs.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, stuff like that. I believe. I'm not privy to that world.
I mean, I don't
fully know what a stash house is, but I'm assuming I can kind of infer what a stash house is like that's where you go to get drugs, drop off the money, blah, blah, blah. So the inmate named Timothy Deshaun Taylor in the involvement of the murder. Taylor denied being involved in the case and was unwavering. He was in prison because of the whole drugs thing, him and his father and the drugs, you know. But the information was backed by another informant. Taylor had been involved in a 2011 robbery as a getaway driver. Okay, so that's what he was in jail for. Though Taylor had already been convicted for this crime, the federal government had also brought charges against him. Obviously, this brought to question of double jeopardy, but apparently there is a federal law that states that the federal government can bring charges for a crime if it believes the state prosecution led to an unfair outcome. So basically, Taylor got parole and the government's like, that wasn't enough time.
Okay, so then they can bring like a second thing up. Okay, I gotcha. Okay.
In June 2019, the Supreme Court, in favor of the government, holding dual sovereignty and allowing the federal government to proceed with its case against Taylor. So basically, the Supreme Court agreed, I guess. 6 months later, Taylor was sentenced to time served, 319 days after a guilty plea forced by his similar disposition in the state court. So basically, he was just like, whatever, I've already dealt with this. So yeah, after the guilty plea forced a similar thing in the state, whatever. Though Taylor was never officially charged with anything at all dealing with Britney's case, for 6 years, his face would be synonymous with Britney's, and the court of popular opinion and public opinion assumed he was guilty.
Wow.
So, what actually happened?
The hell if I know.
Now, like I said, I remember this case happening when she disappeared. And then when the FBI announced what they did, I was like, that's fucking crazy. Like, how does a girl go on spring break with her friends, get kidnapped, gang raped, and fed to alligators?
Like, that makes no sense. It sounds like a cover up is what it sounds like.
Right? I was like, I'm never going on spring break. And like we could afford it, like I said earlier. Like, this was just a story that was like, I'm never experiencing that because I don't want to get fed to alligators. No, thank you.
Yeah.
But like you said, the story sounded so unreal.
Yeah.
Because it never was real.
That makes sense. No, that makes sense. Instantly, I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Freaking government people.
So none of the alligator story was the truth, and it would take 13 years after the disappearance for the truth to finally come to light.
Oh my God. Okay.
The new investigation. Dawn never gave up looking for the truth. God bless her. She never stopped. Even when the FBI came out with that crazy story. Like, thank goodness.
Yeah.
She kept looking for Britney. Dawn went into the FBI and was like, can you be more involved, please?
Yeah.
And so a new FBI team was brought in to relook at the case. The team wanted to focus on finding Britney.
Okay.
And looked at it kind of scientifically. They wanted to go from like a scientific point.
Yeah.
So they wanted to look at point A and point B and who was there at the same time Britney was at those 2 points.
Okay.
So long before law enforcement had collected the cell phone data and knew these 2 points based on communications going in and out of that phone, mainly in. All data points were from those communications from her loved ones trying to reach her.
Okay.
And they helped create the evidence.
Okay.
So obviously point A was all of Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
Based on the data, they knew that she had ended up in a car. So they went back to the camera footage of where Britney was supposed to be walking, but it was never seen because there's one camera that was pointed towards the road. All the other cameras at these hotels, because it's like a strip of hotels. You know what a strip by a beach looks like. We're all pointed towards the cashiers and, you know, how it is. So they see her walking to, they don't see her walking from. So they know from the hotel she left to this camera, somehow she's in a car because she's traveling at speeds that are not possible for humans to go. So they went back through all the camera footage. They took the footage and began analyzing every single vehicle that was on that tape.
Damn.
Which obviously took a long time.
Right.
But indeed, one vehicle stood out, a 1999 Ford Explorer.
Let's go.
Then they looked at point B, the swampy boat landing area.
Okay.
Obviously, this was an area someone needed to be familiar with.
Okay.
So they looked at their persons of interest and they could put one person in both areas at the same time as Britney.
Okay.
Raymond Moody.
What? We know Raymond Moody? How do we know Raymond Moody?
The one that we searched at the beginning.
Oh shit!
The very first person of interest.
Oh,
that was
right.
a
Who was
dead
in the
end.
who was on the profile, right? Sex offender.
Yeah. Then the FBI discovered that Angel, Ray's girlfriend, would have had access to a similar car to what was seen on the security footage.
Oh no.
And a tip had come in around the same time stating that Angel had said that they had something to do with it.
No.
So they brought Angel in for questioning. She denied everything and stormed out. So basically they start questioning her. They were like, oh, the two officers were just like, we're just re-questioning everybody from back then. We were re-looking into it. Playing nice, giving the nice questions. And then the other officer comes in and he's like, I have a recording. Because the person who gave the tip on her, they asked her if they could get her to say it again recorded. So they did. And the officer was about to confront her with it. Angel thought it was a recording of Ray. And so she stormed out because she's like, he had nothing to do with this. I don't know why you're going after him.
What
blah, blah,
in
blah.
the hell?
Storms out. Goodbye.
Okay.
No means no. And so the officer, obviously she can't walk through like a FBI building by herself. So the same officer had to like walk her out. And he's like, they're not looking at Ray. This is a recording of you. They're looking at you as a suspect. And so he basically convinced her to go back into the room and finish the questioning. So they had the recording of Angel confessing that they had something to do with it. And she said, oh, I was drunk, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? She said that she was just drunk, whatever. And then she claimed that she still had her old cell phone from back then. And she said that she would bring it in.
Okay.
And so she left the FBI office and the FBI is like, yes, that was a good conversation. She's going to come back. We're going to have this evidence. She did not. She blew them off. So investigators used that to get a search warrant. And they decided to execute the search warrant for that cell phone and wound up face to face with Moody. And like in the 2020 episode, the detective or the FBI agents, like, we showed him the warrants and basically we were letting him put two and two together that we have evidence.
Good God. Okay.
So soon after that, Moody's lawyer contacted the local prosecutor, Teen Circuit Solicitor Jimmy Richardson, and asked to meet. On May 4th, 2022, Ray meets with the FBI and local authorities at his attorney's office. After 13 long years, Raymond confesses.
Wow.
Ray says he picked her up and he said, I don't believe any of this, but he said that he pulled up and asked Britney if she wanted to party and that she said sure. I don't believe that because one of his previous victims said like he grabbed me off the street and forced me into the vehicle. So I think that's what happened.
He shouldn't have been on the street.
He said that they drove down to Georgetown to a spot where they used to camp by the river, and Angel left the vehicle to go visit her son, because Angel was with him the entire time. So what I think happened, personal opinion, don't come for me. I think Angel drove. Okay. And Raymond hopped up, pushed her in. Okay. And they went on their merry way. I don't know if she would have stayed for the rest of it or not. He says she didn't. She says she didn't. But
yikes.
You're at a boat landing in the middle of nowhere. Like, where is she gonna go?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or she just drove the car. Are they saying she drove the car away?
No, he's saying he was driving. But I'm saying I don't believe that.
Right. Okay.
They drove down to Georgetown to a spot where they used to camp by the river, and Angel left the vehicle somehow. Okay. Then he confessed to raping and strangling her, and that it all happened at the boat landing. And then he said he buried her. Obviously, the FBI, this is just a confession, so they don't really know if this is the truth or not. So they had him take them to the spot where he says he buried her, and they start digging. After 3 days of excavating, investigators found human remains on May 11th. 48 hours later, Britney Drexel's remains were positively identified through her dental records.
Literally 13 years and a month later. Wow.
Moody was charged with obstructing justice, kidnapping, criminal sexual conduct, and murder.
Murder.
Angel also gave a proffer statement to investigators about the night's events. Under its terms, she agreed to fully tell the truth, while the state agreed to take her cooperation into account, deciding whether or not to prosecute her.
Okay.
So on October 19, 2022, Moody pleaded guilty to murder, kidnapping, and criminal sexual conduct in the first degree. So her grandmother, her sister, her dad, her stepdad, like everybody was able to give their piece.
Yep.
And then Moody was sentenced to life in prison without parole, in addition to 2 consecutive terms of 30 years. So
good.
Never, ever
Good.
getting out.
You shouldn't have been out in the first place.
Facts. At a press conference after the hearing, Britney's mother, Dawn, thanked the media for covering Britney's story and saying that the coverage helped get leads and tips. She said that she had said her piece in the courtroom, but leaves by saying this is far from over. Timothy Taylor's family, he and his family were also at the court hearing and the conference afterwards. His mother spoke out as well. She said that their pursuit for justice is not over. She said that they have not received an apology for her son being named as a person of interest in this case. Taylor's mom is now calling for a formal apology from all agencies involved. The 2 mothers hugged, with Dawn apologizing for everything that the family was put through. Timothy Taylor's family plan on suing the government, stating win or lose, there needs to be some accountability. I have not found anything saying that they have done it yet, but they do plan to.
Okay.
At a memorial for Britney in 2022, Dawn Drexel recognized the FBI team that cracked the case and presented them with a pendant. It had a picture of Britney on one side and the message, "Thank you for finding me," on the other. In 2023, the mother of Britney Drexel has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against her daughter's killer and the operators of a Myrtle Beach hotel where her daughter stayed before she was last seen on the spring break trip in 2009.
Is that why you were saying, why are you suing a hotel?
I guess because they didn't ask for a grown-up or something. I don't know.
I mean, at this point, I feel like you're just trying to get some, I don't know.
And I think a lot of things have changed in hotels between then and now. Because you definitely need an ID and like credit card before you can even like go into the room. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah. Interesting.
But also, doesn't only one person have to show their ID? So it's like,
and theoretically, you said she was with an older group, so maybe they were.
So yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work, but
yeah.
And then last thing, March 27th, 2024, a federal grand jury has returned a 3-count indictment against Angel Cooper Voss, 56 of Georgetown, for making false statements to federal investigators. So they're not getting her for the kidnapping, murder, and stuff like that, but they are charging her with all the false statements that she provided in 2009, and I think for the false statements that she provided in May of 20.
She's not an accomplice. She doesn't get like, I think
it's part of that proffer agreement.
Okay,
probably. So that's probably why they're only going after her for the false statements.
Okay,
but still, I'm glad they're going after her for something.
Yeah, they need to be getting her for something.
I honestly think she had more involvement than they state. But,
and I wonder if them agreeing that
but also to another point, like the Dawn family, like the Drexel family attorney was like, it makes me wonder how many other bodies are out there because of
oh my god,
him. Because like
wild.
You're gonna sit there and tell me that he did nothing again for 13 years. So
no.
And that's the story of Britney Drexel.
Yay.
I was so glad they found her finally. Like when I watched this 2020, I was like, oh my gosh, they found her.
Oh my god.
She wasn't eaten by alligators. Like,
oh my god, that's such an outrageous thing to say.
Oh yeah, that she wasn't eaten by alligators. I just like, I never believed that from the start.
No. As soon as you said that, I was like, excuse you?
Crazy.
Okay.
Story
time. Okay, so your story was very like intense and very like disturbing. Mine's more lighthearted.
Okay.
I mean, sorta, kinda, but like,
crime, lighthearted as it can get.
As lighthearted as true crime can get. Exactly. Have you heard of El Tigresa or Idoia Lopez Riano?
No.
Okay. So, Idoia Lopez Riano, say it right, was a former ETA hit woman named
You say she's a PTA hit woman?
ETA hit woman
ETA.
nicknamed ETA, and I'll explain all this. Named
Okay.
La Tigresa, or the Tigress, for her sexual prowess. She was jailed in 1990s for a string of murders for the Basque terrorist group. Various newspapers have reported that the author Luke Jennings has revealed the character of the Villanelle, the main antagonist of the Killing Eve series, was based upon El Tigresa. So
Killing Eve?
Killing
I don't think
Eve.
I've seen that.
I haven't either, but after this, I kind of want to. So Jennings had said that Riano, who had killed 23 people, was clearly a psychopath completely without empathy. And that was the only thing on the Wikipedia page, so my story is over. Bye.
What?
Literally, that was it. If you look up this woman, that is the only thing on her Wikipedia page. I'm like, you guys are making me work for this. I don't appreciate
That's
you.
crazy.
That's it. It's like 4 lines. And I'm like, okay.
Did you check Murderpedia?
I checked a lot of shit. So I
Okay.
do have an actual story. But that's wild. I'm like, okay, Wikipedia, can you please step up? Also, my inspiration, guys, for Christmas, my boyfriend got me a calendar. So this was Tuesday, February 6th. Don't read it because it's gonna give spoilers. But it was her. And it was also February 7th. So that's a quote from her. But yeah, so that's the inspiration, was from my murder calendar that I have.
Can you read the quote out loud?
I have it in
the
story.
The story.
Okay, so this is my real intro. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. For almost 60 years, the Basque separation group, I'm going to mispronounce this. I'm going to say it once and then I'm going to call it ETA for the rest of the time.
Okay.
Euskadi Ta Askatusuna.
Okay.
Or ETA. That's what we're going to call. They used terrorist tactics in France and Spain to campaign for Basque independence. So we're going to do a quick little history for the people who don't know, because I didn't.
Please. Yeah.
So after a period of self-government, the Basque government was abolished by the Spanish government in 1839.
Okay.
So under Spanish Franco regime during the Spanish Civil War, the Basque language was actually banned. The rights of Basques were reduced, and the Basque city of Guernica was bombed on behalf of Franco by the Nazis.
Okay, so was this like a completely separate like nation from
correct.
Spain?
Yep.
And Spain just took it?
Oh, it's not just Spain. So hold on, because I do have a picture, because I had to look this up.
Yes, please. Okay. Like
so it's literally in between France and Spain.
This no longer exists.
Well, they're still, to this day, we'll keep going to it, but they're still to this day trying to get their independence.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, so the majority is in Spain, parts are in France, but literally the two big countries like ripped it apart and claimed it as their own.
Yikes, that's rude.
Yep. So in response, the Basque nationalist group, again ETA, was established in 1959 and was responsible for the deaths of over 800 people before it was disbanded just in May of 2018.
Wow.
Talk about not hearing anything about this ever, but this was like,
right.
It brought in this whole history lesson that I just had no idea. So a little bit of, again, basic history of Basques' fight for independence. In 1997, around 20,000 people marched in San Sebastian calling for independence. In 2006, thousands of Basques marched in Bilbao for self-determination rights for the Basque country, and that was in November 11th, 2006. And then again in 2011, around 40,000 people marched through Bilbao. Again, I'm not in this, so I may really be botching it. I'm sorry. Calling for ETA prisoners to be moved closer to their homes and for amnesty, because basically they were like fighting for their right as a country. In 2014, 110,000 people marched in Bilbao in support of Basque independence and bringing ETA prisoners to be held closer to home. So they're getting more and more support. In 2017, over 1,000 people marched in Bilbao in support of the Catalan independence. So Catalan, I believe, if I'm saying this correctly, is the French portion of it, and then Basque is the other.
Okay.
Is in Spain. So they're actually two different countries, but at this point I think they're banding together to just try to get independence for all of it. In June 2018, a human chain was formed by tens of thousands of Basques. This chain extended 202 kilometers. So they estimate around 200,000 people formed a human chain calling for independence referendum. And that was just in 2018. So this is literally, they are continuously fighting for their independence. Rewind a little bit. So back to the story at hand. One prolific assassin that was associated with the group in the 80s and 90s was Idoia Lopez Riano. She was also known as the Tigress, or La Tigresa. So just a little backstory on her. She was born in San Sebastian in the Basque country of northern Spain in March of 1964. As a child, she dreamed of becoming a firefighter, which I think is really sweet.
Okay. Yeah.
So unlike the character that she is portrayed in Killing Eve, she actually had a normal upbringing and education. But like many young Basques, she became politicized as a teenager in the time of growing Basque nationalism.
Okay.
So very much, I kind of get the vibe.
Austria?
It was Austria. Thank you.
Yeah.
I get that vibe. I get like Austria versus Germany. This is like Basque versus Spain.
Like they just want to be left alone.
Yeah. So she joined her first boyfriend, Jose Angel Huera, in the ETA, which became increasingly violent as centralized Spanish authorities cracked down on Basque independence campaigners. And then this is actually a quote from her. I became involved with the ETA at a very young age. I was full of romantic and idealistic ideas, and those who recruited me knew straight away how to make me choose. Would you prefer to save a few people as a firefighter, or would you prefer to save a whole town? We need committed kids like you. And that's like how they got her to join. So savvy and ambitious, the young militant longed to prove herself to the upper class of the separatist group, and on November 16th, 1984, she participated in her first killing.
Wow.
At the age of 20, along with her ETA boyfriend, again Jose, and two other comrades, she stole a car at gunpoint and drove it to a restaurant in Arun, where their target, French businessman Joseph Cochut, suspected of financing a group of paramilitaries formed by Spanish authorities to kill ETA fighters, was in the middle of lunch. So basically the group put out a hit and this group drove a car into it to kill him. Lopez and her comrades shot him 6 times, and this is another quote, finishing him off with a coup de grace as he lay on the floor. According to, this was book, Dirty War, Clean Hands, the ETA, GAL, and the Spanish Democracy. So this is a fucking thing that's just going on in Spain. It's like, I just never heard of.
Crazy, because we've both been to Spain.
Yeah, and like nothing. So the tigress had, it was, quote, spectacular blue eyes and mounds of curly black hair. She was also known by fellow militants as the princess, who was quite prepared to use her striking beauty and sexual allure to kill her targets.
Wow.
So, and this is another quote, Idoia was above everything a slave to her body and her hair. I have never met an ETA militant who was more vain than this woman. And that was written by Juan Manuel Gamboa in a memoir about his early years in the ETA.
Wow.
She was also known to wear skin-tight jeans and leather jackets to attract the attention of men. So she was definitely like a seductress. She would often go after police and officers and members of civil guard, seduce them, and then gain lots of information through pillow talk, which then enabled ETA to plan their raids.
Interesting.
Right? She allegedly once said that she would be lying in bed with the policeman and thinking how good it would be to shoot them. So in total, she was charged with the murders of 23 people between 1984 and 1986. Yeah. So 2 years, she killed 23 people.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Now, half of them came in one of Spain's most infamous terrorist attacks, the Plaza República Dominicana car bombing in July 1986, which killed 12 civil guards and injured 32 others.
Yikes.
She was, La Tigresa was charged with being involved in the attack as an intelligence gatherer. So she didn't technically set off the bomb, but
she planned it.
She basically planned it and got all the intel for it.
Right.
And earlier in 1986, she took part in the assassination of an army commander, Ricardo Sanz de Yenstrias Martinez, whose official car was machine gunned by several members of the ETA.
Yikes.
Like a Bonnie and Clyde situation.
Right.
2 other soldiers actually died along with that. But soon she became a nuisance. So this is where it kind of takes like a weird twist.
Within the
ETA. Yeah.
Okay.
Lopez Riano delayed an operation because she had lost a shoe, and another one had to be postponed because she had to take a pregnancy test.
What?
In one instance,
I feel like maybe those can both be like put off till later.
Nah, not for her. And this is where the quote comes into play. In one instance, she showed up to work without her gun and was unrepentant about it because when she was chastised by her commanders for putting the entire cell at risk because she didn't have her fucking gun, her response was, "What do you want me to do?" Shrugging her shoulders, "I forgot, period."
I mean, at that point, like,
that was the quote.
What do you want me to do?
What do you want me to do? I forgot. That was the quote. I forgot. Sorry. She was definitely known to be reckless. During a hit against one of the group military operatives in June 1986, she grew tired of holding her submachine gun as she waited for the car carrying the targets to pass and started to shoot indiscriminately. So she was just tired of holding it. Yup. In addition to her entitled attitude and reluctancy to follow basic rules, Lopez Riano presented another problem for the ETA. In his memoir written with the journalist Matthias Antolin, Sorias Gamboa recalled that her stunning features, and again her spectacular blue eyes and voluminous hair, attracted too much attention on hits. So not only was she stupid, she attracted way too much attention because people would notice her. She was noticeable.
Right.
Lord. Okay, so
that was the point. So she could like distraction.
Right. And like use that instead of like blaming her. You know what I mean? It took 20 days of deliberations, 1,000 French francs for brown contact lenses, and countless meetings to convince her that she should alter her physical appearance because we had to go unnoticed. She could not move in Madrid because she would attract too much attention, and none of us wanted to accompany her. Even they had to like literally take 20 days to argue with her, like, nah, you need to change your appearance. And they had to pay a shit ton of money for brown contacts.
I just don't get it. I want to use her looks as like an asset, you know.
Well, I feel like this is so she's like multiple years down the road, and I feel like people are starting to catch on that hey, she is somebody of interest in Spain. And now that people just recognize her, I think her appearance has gone noticed, and now people know what she looks like, so they're like, yo, you gotta change what you look like, otherwise people are just gonna spot you and know thumbs up. So exasperated with her insubordination, a constant clubbing and revolving door of lovers, ETA leaders forced La Tigresa into exile in Algeria, where she lived under the alias Tanya. Kicked her out.
Wow.
She continued to wear tight jeans and leather jackets, according to press reports. After 5 years, ETA moved her to South France, where she was actually arrested in 1994. And this is a hearsay speculation that they did it on purpose.
Oh, that's rude. I feel like she's done a lot of work for them at this point.
But she was also a huge liability, and they didn't want to kill her, so they just got her arrested. But like, why would you like get someone arrested who you know has a loud mouth? So that's why it's speculation. So like,
that's true.
Yeah. So, but she was moved to the south of France, and then she was arrested in 1994. In 2001, she was extradited to Spain and later tried for the murders of 23 people.
Okay.
So Spain was like, we want her. She was originally sentenced to 2,000 years, but
it's a little excessive.
Well, the maximum any prisoner can serve under the Spanish law is 30 years, no matter what the crime.
Stop it.
No matter what the crime.
Why?
I don't know. That's Spain Spain's law. Max is 30 years, which I think is terrifying because, like, I feel like some people deserve life, you know?
If you freaking serial killed 20 people, I think you should do more than 30 years, you know?
Yeah. So basically, if you want to be a serial killer, go to Spain because you'll only get
Go to
30 years.
Spain.
So in 2011, she was formally expelled from the ETA after publicly condemning them for using violence and issuing an apology to her victims. So she came out. She said, "The depths of this command hurt me to the depths of my soul." And that was her way of apologizing. And ETA was like, "Fuck you. We're kicking you out now."
Stop.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I got one more for you.
Okay.
So she was married twice in prison because, revolving door of lovers, right?
Oh, did you hear about Gypsy Rose? She's
No.
separated from her husband.
That doesn't surprise me.
We saw that coming.
Yeah, that does not surprise me. She was just released in 2017.
She's released?
20
She's out there living?
23 years after her sentencing. And for those who are counting, that is 1 year served for each of her victims.
That is such bull.
Her current whereabouts are unknown, and none of the families of her victims believe she was ever sorry for what she done.
No,
She
like
was just-
her whatever the fuck you said, it was not an apology.
Yeah. "The depths of this command hurt me to the depths of my soul," was the quote that she told the Spanish court.
Yeah, that wasn't an apology. That wasn't like nothing. That was, oh, they hurt me. So I guess I guess it's not my fault. It's their fault, guys.
I mean,
Look at
okay, so
them.
and I'm going to end it with this. So obviously I mentioned before, she is the muse for the show Killing Eve. So this was a really interesting picture. So the one on the left is obviously the assassin in Killing Eve, and the right is actually what she looked like.
I mean, but was she really an assassin? Like, assassins to me are like dead at night. Like,
Okay, but
killing
you're also
people.
looking at
But
the movie forms of assassins. This is like actual.
like assassin, I feel like is like a lone wolf. You know what I mean? She told people to bomb people, and then
Well,
she,
I mean, you
like,
think of, not really. You think of
they
that like an
grouped
assassin.
machine
So
gun people.
would you think 007 is an assassin?
I've never seen.
How have you never seen that? Okay. Do you think Jason Bourne was an assassin?
Never seen.
Good fucking God. How have you never seen these? I understand why you don't think they're assassins. Literally, so these people, these trained killers, these trained assassins were trained by a group and they report to that group. So that's what assassins are. Like,
Yeah,
I think
I get
you're thinking
that.
like ninjas. That's what I think you think assassins are. Like
I
ninjas.
get what assassins are. I don't
Yeah.
think assassins is like a group of 10 people machine gunning a car. That's not assassin to me.
Okay.
That is
So okay, so that is a terrorist, right? So she worked for a terrorist group, and there's not really a whole lot of information if she actually did any personal killings. Like, she would think about killing people, and I understand what you're saying about that. So like people will say she's a woman serial killer, so she used her sexual prowess to like set people up to get murdered, and she definitely had. But that is also what Spain thought when they let her out 23 years later. Did she actually ever murder someone like as an individual, or was she always just part of the group think? She was really young when she got pulled into it. Did she actually really believe in it? So that's why they let her out. Anyway, we need to fix you. Fucking never seen 007. 007's good. Mission Impossible?
No.
Jesus Christ.
I don't watch Tom Cruise movies.
That's fine. 007's really good. So is Bourne. Jason Bourne. You don't even get that. Oh my God, it's Jason Bourne. You don't even get that. Okay, John Wick.
No. I know what happens. I think John Wick would be like, I guess, an assassin.
But he works for the Continental, who like runs all the assassins. Like, they have to report to somebody.
Right.
They're just not just like fucking going out there and killing random people. They have to report to somebody. I guess some people might, but anyway,
but
topic.
I heard John Wick, there's a dog diet in it, so no.
Don't watch the first like 10 minutes. We don't do that. So that's the story of the woman serial killer La Tigresa.
Interesting.
Yeah, I told you mine was more like, it's not so like depressing. I guess a lot of people died, but it was for independence. So I don't know.
I mean, that's crazy.
Crazy. All right, so that's it for this episode. If you enjoyed the podcast, do not forget to follow, leave us a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, hi, subscribe. I think we have 67 now. It's growing.
Yeah,
I'm so excited. So excited. Hello, people.
You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok with our username at TTATA Podcast. In the bio of all of our social medias, our link tree, which has our email. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, topic ideas, hit us up. Let us know. That one person that commented on our YouTube video, you still have not explained what is trash. Are we trash? Episode trash?
What happened in the episode trash? So I feel like that may have been one it was, but we're just curious.
Just curious. Let us know.
Yeah. Like you said before, we're totally open to feedback. If you think it's trash, let us know. We could do different. We may or may not listen to you. So thanks for listening, guys. And next week we're gonna be covering cults, and man, we got a doozy for you. And with that, we're gonna leave you with this inspirational quote:
"When we choose to trust the journey and embrace love and joy, we are free to fly." Ooh, by Anakin R. Day.
Embrace the journey, guys. That is huge, because I feel like sometimes we're so focused on the end goal that you miss so much of the journey. The journey should be enjoyable too, or at least like experienced.
Gotta enjoy it, because it goes by so fast.
So freaking fast.
Like,
holy hell.
Sometimes I'm like sitting here thinking, like, how is Beanie 6 years
I don't
old?
know. I actually don't know. It scares me.
Especially when like videos come up of us like living in the apartment and he's a baby in diapers. I'm like, where did it go? Where did it go?
Life. And I think my grandmother said that at one point. She's like, once you hit like 25, your life just continuously gets faster. Like it continuously flies by faster and faster. It's like, thanks for listening again, guys.
Until next time. Bye.
Bye.